Ladies and gentlemen, Imperials and Rebels, Bounty Hunters and Scoundrels. Um, I can't remember the other ones. But how are, hello. I am Johnny, writer for Level 1 Gaming, and I am joined by the wonderful BaronJ67. Baron, how are you
Hey,
doing this evening?
what is up, everybody? Am I hearing myself double talk? Are we good? I want to make sure that our audio levels are great. Am I hearing myself? Okay,
I
I think
think
we
you're
sound pretty
fine.
good. Yeah, I think we sound pretty
Yeah.
good. But hey, I'm doing pretty dang. I'm doing chill, man. Honestly, I'm just hanging out with the kids and I'm sitting here. I was looking over Remnant and running around and doing all, and then I'm trying to set up this like newsletter we're trying to get out to everybody, and then I totally blanked on today's pod, and I feel so bad because I want to make sure I'm respecting like your time and respecting your flow because this is something that we all take part in, and I just want to say I'm sorry about that. My bad, bro.
No, I don't think anybody can blame you being such a busy guy that you are. You are in three podcasts. You're a director, and you do some stuff on the side, so easily can be forgiven.
I appreciate that, man. So now I know you had something a little special in the works for today. I know you mentioned it didn't fully flesh out how you wanted to. But before I get into that, let me let the people know what they're looking at. So what you're seeing right here, folks, is the beginning parts of Outriders. I want to say this is the intro, so spoiler alert. But you're gonna see some
Outriders of the
gameplay,
Sun.
right? And you're gonna see a bunch of wild stuff happening here and some gameplay early. This is I want to say this is around the time of launch, and playing off of it was recorded off of an Xbox One S. It wasn't even the series any of the current gen, so past gen recording. So I haven't played it. It's been a while since I've played it. It's been a very long time. I've been hooked on Remnant, but just want to give some backstory to the random gameplay you are seeing on screen. But yes, and
Yeah.
back to the point. So, um, you've jumped back into the world heavy of ESO, right?
Yes, I have. Not super in depth. Still, because it's been about a 2-year hiatus, so
Ah,
I'm easing back into it.
now do you believe that ESO is one of those games that you can easily pick up and put down, or put down and then pick up, or is it something you're gonna have to you got to get reacclimated to?
You definitely need to be reacclimated. Um, I think I don't know how frequently it's done. It could be every patch, but it may just be with upcoming expansions and stuff, like when they were released. But all of the skills on all of my characters were reset.
Oh,
So I had no framework for how I had my characters built. Um, so that was fun
characters reset.
trying to guess what my build was before with allocating skill points and stuff. But I think more or less I got it figured out. Obviously, my days of hardcore PvPing and becoming the Emperor in Cyrodiil, those days are gone. But, I can still chill out, just passively observe the war from afar. But, yeah, that being said, still a very fun game. That is not, I'm upset that it happened, but, it's understandable. And I would not let that detract from my ESO experience.
You know, how this game came out in what, like 2014,
Yeah, it's been out for a while now.
right? That's pretty crazy. Were you there day one, or was this something that you got into later into its launch?
I believe I bought it close to launch rather, not lunch.
Right.
Um, However, I didn't actually get into it until much later. Um, it was I believe right after one of the releases for the DLCs. Was it uh I can't I think it was either the Thieves Guild one, whatever the official name of that is, or the one Orsinium. So
Ah, okay,
okay, so it looks like it's either November 2015 or March 2016.
got you. It's a big variation, but I got you. You know what's trippy? I know we titled this, but I don't know if you know we titled this, but there's the games, why we love them and what they could do better.
Hmm.
Since you're currently playing ESO, what do you love about Elder Scrolls Online? For those who don't know what ESO stands for, and what do you think they could do better, especially now that they've been acquisitioned by Microsoft? So we know money is really not the issue here, nor manpower, nor servers, nor like it's funny because Bethesda, which I mean ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda Game Studios and all that other fun stuff, without getting too technical, you guys know what we're talking about. Um,
Hmm.
it's like a perfect scenario now. Like, you know, that whole, well, with unlimited money and unlimited manpower, what game would you create? They kind of have that now.
Yes,
Um,
I would agree with that.
yeah, I mean, money, manpower, different engines and different because you know now that Microsoft owns a bunch of different studios with a bunch of different engines and a bunch of different there's a word I'm looking for. It's not engines, but tools. We'll just say tools. There's a proper term for it. Um,
Mhm.
they're like, I mean, we could see Fallout, the next Fallout, like running around Doom style. Like that's not a far fetched idea, even though that was always something that could have happened because that was all under Bethesda. But wrapping that back up, you get what I'm trying to say. Um,
Yeah.
what do you love, or what do you really like about ESO or love, and what do you think could make it better?
What do I really love? I love the fact that we're getting to explore, for the most part, the majority of the continent of Tamriel.
Okay.
You know, in mainstay games, it's usually a single province. So Oblivion it was Cyrodiil, Skyrim is obviously its namesake. But with ESO, you get to there are I can't even begin to count how many regions there are at the moment, but the most of the more of the map is filled than unfilled. So the level of exploration you're allowed is something I find very attractive because I didn't get to play some of the older games
Ah,
like like Arena
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, like those titles. So, a large part of these places we've only heard about, but now we get to go see them, which is really cool. But something I do think they can improve upon, I will just say now, is I don't know if I'd say like the combat needs to be overhauled, but there's just something unappealing of like a sorcerer spamming lightning bolt over and over again. Obviously it's an MMO, so stuff like that is prone to happen, and that's not
Yeah.
what I'm trying to target specifically, but like it seems in this game, as opposed to other MMOs, is I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that they encourage heavy spamming of the same ability rather than, correctly timing your cast and synergizing with other abilities. That's something I think they could probably look into.
So is it so do you feel like your build it's more heavy on DPS? Like it's more like which, instead of playing more towards skill, it's more towards hey, like what ability can I mash the most without running out? You know what I mean? It do people like cater their entire build to one ability and or one skill or one attack?
Um, I haven't, gone end game with most of the classes. I only really play Templar, but I know that a lot of people, at least back in the day, maybe the meta has changed. I mean, almost certainly it has in 2 years, but
Yeah.
when I played, you would use one of the skills granted to you by using destructive staffs,
Okay.
and basically cast like it would damage the opponent, and you would get hit with three elemental blasts at once, like lightning damage, frost damage, and fire damage.
Oh Lord.
And people would put all of their attribute points into just magicka, and so that they have more than enough magicka to just to spam that ability over and over again because it had like a non-existent cooldown. I think it's you could spam it out quicker than some basic abilities, which was a little bit crazy, but
So
that
are
was a
people
thing.
like so people were walking around like glass cannons, or are they also still, I know. Okay, I didn't get heavy into ESO. The only time I ever truly played it was when the times that me you or me you and Kiddo ran.
Mhm.
Now when I think of that, I, I I'm stammering here because I'm trying to figure out a proper way to say it. I get frustrated when people run super heavy to the meta. I've never let me think before I get to lying. There's been few times while I'm gaming where I run heavy meta because it's not fun. Like yeah, you can break the game and you can go through. Now, if I got to cheese a boss that I'm getting that's giving me a hard time and I feel like it's impossible, I'll cheese a boss. Like
Mhm.
I hope that sounded right. I'll cheese a boss. Um and that's not I'll do that to kind of get through the scenario, but to run the whole game that way, I I hope it's fun. Like some people I know their drive in life is to simply win. And if you just want to win, then okay, yeah, run the hardcore meta. Make sure to put on that proper exact gear and farm that exact item and spam this ability in this exact order. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I don't know, man. What do they say? Variety is the spice of life.
Fighting, yeah.
So I don't want to, especially with an MMO where at its core it's grindy. The core of an MMO is grindy and heavily repetitive.
Hmm.
So knowing that's what this type of game is at its core, why would you want to add a extra element of that on purpose? So that's why I do my best to avoid the heavy duty meta. Now I don't want to struggle, nor do I want to be whack for no reason. So that's one of the reasons why I try to mix it up a bit and make sure I'm not completely trash and have fun while I'm running. But with ESO and the combat, that would bother me. That'd be enough to make me not want to play. Which the reason I walked away is it just didn't grab me. Um, and then maybe it had a lot to do with me still needing to finish up Skyrim, and there's other things I need to do, in the game world. So it's like, do I just put down ESO and then at the time I believe I was playing a bunch of other stuff.
I
You know,
believe we were waiting for Blessed Unleashed to uh,
oof,
go into beta.
oof, Blessed Unleashed. That's a whole nother time in itself.
Discussion, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion in itself, and it wasn't bad. I just, you know me, man. I feel bad for people who run games with me because I can. It's easy for me to jump ship and move on to something else because there's just so many
Yeah.
games out here. There's so,
Remember,
uh,
remember
dude.
when we were gonna do some multiplayer Wasteland?
Oh God, we ran it like what, once, or have I never ran it with you?
Nope,
Wow. So I still need to finish that. And Johnny has a whole character in my world. Dude's a beast. He's
that's
walking
right.
around with like flamethrowers and rockets. But back, okay, back to Bethesda.
Hmm.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about ESO?
Yes. In addition to the spammy spells, uh, another thing that is very prevalent in like the metagaming, like I gotta be the best by 1%. Um, Two things that I always despise people doing, and I'm pretty sure they still do, is that they will go to like they have like, their main characters and they'll have their alternate characters that they PvP with.
Got you.
And they'll go to their main character and um they'll have them level like maxed out cooking and maxed out crafting, and they'll craft themselves super OP gear that's appropriate for their gear level, and the same thing like cooking appropriate meals, like grants you like a big boost to your max health or max stamina, or your spells do more damage for like an hour.
Mm.
And just like, oh my God, piled all those things together with this like the spammy meta build. It's so unfun PvPing for me. Like the Dragon Knight that just like spams, which is Dragon Knights are like the tanky sword and shield classes.
Okay.
They'll just dragon leap into the middle of a fight, and they have this one ability that like heals them whilst, and it's just like, oh, it's impossible to kill them. And that's why I play a Templar, to just heal other people while they fight them.
You know what? Um, I don't think I did much PvP in the little time that I did run ESO.
Yeah, we only went
Um,
to Asteria once.
yeah, and it was I could see that being really frustrating. Now,
Mhm.
thinking about okay, we'll talk about another MMO, right? Because we're talking about Bethesda, and for me, it feels like we're kind of going down backwards. Like games we like are games we like the least out of all the games, at least in my opinion. Um, because ESO, it felt like a watered down Skyrim, and in my opinion, and I've said it before. I don't think I've ever said it here, but Skyrim, even though I've bought it a bunch of times and I've played the living crap out of it, for some reason I remember Oblivion being more entertaining.
I would agree with that.
It's so weird. Like it's been a long time since I've played. I know how contradictory this sounds. Like it's been a very long time since I've played Oblivion,
Hmm.
and maybe I want to keep it in that good light. That could be it. But I remember it being more of an RPG experience than Skyrim.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I know it's been a very long time since I've actually gone in and checked that out. Which I think now that I have a PC, I could have been ran it. But now that I have a rig that can really put some guts behind this stuff, maybe I'll go in and try out one of those wild mods that are out there to kind of modernize Oblivion. Um, because they're still working on Sky Oblivion, right? I know this is slightly off topic.
I'm sure they are. It's been years and years at this point, and I feel like it's gonna be like a Star Citizen, but I digress.
Yeah, like for me, as long as I can get through the game from beginning to end without all the extras, um, with Oblivion's mechanics and Skyrim's like combat, because that's one thing I did like about Skyrim was the combat, like the whole concept of I'm swinging a sword, I hit a shield so they block me, not them like rolling the dice.
Hmm.
Which that was how Oblivion worked, right? It was more of like a dice roll situation each time you attack.
I don't think you'd. I don't think you'd have a chance to miss. I think it was just the damage that was dice rolled.
Oh, okay. Now, what I'm looking for, what was I talking about? Skyrim and Elder Scrolls. Okay, we'll stick with Skyrim. I'm really hoping, and what scares me is due to the extreme success of Skyrim and the critically acclaimed and the worldwide and across the board, and it being played by probably a bunch of people who would have never played any of the other Elder Scroll games. My worry is that this next Elder Scrolls is gonna be even more mainstreamed and mainlined or streamlined.
It's funny, I hadn't actually considered that.
Me neither. Not until right now. Not until I heard. I'm hearing myself out loud, and I feel like I'm a part of that because of how many times I've bought Skyrim. The fact that I've played Blades on my phone and my wife's phone heavily. The fact I don't think I've ever tried the Skyrim on the Amazon device. I don't want to say it out loud because I do have one.
But
But excuse me, I'm sitting here knocking down beverages. But I wonder, bro. Like technically everything on paper says make it Skyrim but more. Like make it bigger,
yeah,
make more missions, more customization. But for me, I don't I don't want to be able to rank up my sword skills due to whatever I earned from crafting.
yeah,
Like I want
that
to
would
have
not
to,
be good.
yeah, because remember, like I've messed around and power leveled myself to a point of oblivion to where I had to struggle to get through the game because I love crafting. So I was in on my Switch. I ended up crafting like crazy. I wanted to make all the weapons. I made all the enchantments. I made um I got the crafting, the enchanting, and something else. I got it like maxed out. Well,
Did you need the classic loop?
what make like 1,000 different iron daggers?
No,
No.
the enchanting, brewing, smithing loop.
Oh, in that one town, yeah, yeah. That's like
Yeah, where
I would. What was it? Whiterun.
um I mean you could really do it anywhere, but
True.
the loop was, you'd enchant certain pieces of clothing that boosted your alchemy skills. And your alchemy, with that boosted alchemy, you would create potions that boosted your either your enchanting or your smithing. And, it created like a loop, like an exponential spiral of increased percentages until the point where you get to like the hundreds of thousands of boost. And then you craft a sword or whatever weapon at the end, and boom, it just does like 2 million damage.
Are you see? I've never done that.
And they never took it out of the game.
Well, see, this is one thing I'll say. If it's is it a glitch if it's a matter of you power leveling a bunch of different abilities and then utilizing them all together, or is it just a system working as it's supposed to?
That's where the fine line is because, in these RPGs, usually you should be rewarded with cleverness such as that. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's why they never took it out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. I'm happy they never took it out because I know for me, I'm thinking of games like, and this is jumping developers, but like Baldur's Gate.
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate, the original, which I'm playing on my Switch every now and then, the original meta was longbows because the game's almost impossible. I play certain old school RPGs and I'm like, how in the hell did people get through this? Like classic RPG, I'm like, how did you get through this? Like I'm literally slow rolling basic mobs. Like I'm taking my time. I'm freaking save scumming. I'm like creeping in the map, like slowly moving. I'm aggroing like one enemy at a time. Bro, There's so much that goes into that. Now, me, I like that type of stuff, right? I'm not against that. And you should be rewarded for figuring out ways to get through something that's considered that's a little more I don't know if you would say complicated, difficult, frustrating, whatever. But rolling it back to Bethesda, I'm glad they didn't take that out, because heck, you took the time to figure out that, hey, maybe if I boost this, it'll boost that, it'll boost this. So you ended up using 3 different skills and maxing them out to build this one item that now makes you a god on the field of battle. I'm with that. Now,
Yeah,
if it
I
was
mean, it's
multiplayer, I'd
oh
still
yeah,
do.
that would need to be removed.
They would have to fix it. They would have to do something to where you can't do it all at once in order. Well, I don't know though, because aren't there like gods out there in ESO? It does ruin it. I will say it does ruin it.
It would be impossible to balance, and I it would be just better to sidestep that.
I'd have to agree with you, because either you only way you can do that is if PvP isn't a thing. If PvP isn't a thing, then okay, we can kind of just have, there's just a couple of Sherpas out there who are super gods. Because funny enough, as long as it's not too many of them, like if you come across some people who are just like, oh, they that guy or they that person, then it's like, okay, that's pretty dope. I'll give you guys that. It's badass. But when you
Walks
run
up
a
to a world boss, one-shotting him.
yeah, but when it's like every 5 minutes, like bro, I'm thinking about when we play Warzone and we'd come across hackers and whatnot, like how often it would happen. It kind of burns the experience. So as long
Oh
as
yeah,
it's a balance of like these dudes are just unicorns who never leave their basement, versus I just watched a YouTube video and found this 5 minute hack that helped me break the game. Like
hmm
there's 2 different things. Now, rolling it back, my worry when it comes to the next the next Elder Scrolls game is the fact that they're gonna make it such a commercially viable not viable such a commercially marketed game. And usually whenever you see more commercials for an RPG game, the less of an RPG it really is.
this is
Be- I mean, think about some of the best, most successful RPGs that are out right now. I know I mentioned Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 3, it's getting a lot of love in the community. Hell, it's still in early access, and I believe they're doing whites every now and then. And yet, this game is not heavily commercialized. It was at one point, but it's not in the media. There's not 10,000 articles like on big sites every day about it. There's not a bunch of YouTube commercials running for it. There's not a bunch of TV ads. Excuse me, etc., etc., etc. Now, Skyrim, I remember there were commercials everywhere.
as
Fallout,
do I.
yeah, Fallout 4, there were commercials everywhere. They were running. I think it was like I was watching like ESPN, and there would be Fallout 4 commercials. And it's funny because in my head I was like, "Oh, dude, Fallout's finally getting the love it should be getting." But at the time wasn't thinking. I'm like, they're not spending all this money on this marketing in order to make this game more accessible to the hardcore RPG fans, because the hardcore RPG fans are already gonna get it. That's the funny thing. Like if you're playing, if you're a hardcore, if you're a hard RPG fan and you love Bethesda games or you love the Fallout universe, I say Bethesda games because I'm more or less talking about, of course, the ones they made, Fallout 3, Fallout 4.
Mhm.
But if you love that universe, you know that there's a new one coming out, and you don't need a TV ad spot to push you to go buy it. Most
Yeah,
people who are picking up RPG, like I don't think there's been a RPG that has came on TV and was like, oh, I gotta go get that now. It's
um,
usually something I look into. It's usually something. I'm not gonna say ads just don't work on me because that's bullcrap. But I'll say that when it comes to certain genre of games, I usually do a lot more research, especially with a game that I know on a minimum is going to take up 20 to 30 hours of my time. Now,
Yeah, I would
okay.
just add, if you have to put your ads for an RPG on ESPN, how many prospective play hardcore RPG fans are you gonna pick up that were not already in your circle?
Yeah, like not to say it's a waste of money, but you're definitely tapping into a you're tapping into a market that typically won't, I'm not going to say that sports fans don't like RPG games, because funny enough, all the people, I know a lot of people this weekend are getting their fantasy leagues together. Like, I know a lot of people right now are actually doing like fantasy drafts and whatnot. I just passed up on one. I'm not going to do fantasy football this year. I've made the
Hmm.
argument plenty of times that fantasy football is just a live action Dungeons and Dragons event every weekend.
I can
Um,
see that.
That's exactly what it is. You literally pick people based on their previous stats to go into a random encounter and you hope that they come out on top. And then you hope as an aggregate all of your people do better than the people you were competing against. So it's like D&D except at the end you compare who did better.
This is true,
That's
but
all
you know,
fantasy sports is. And I was like, y'all are the biggest nerds. It's funny because you got into the whole nerd like hardcore, like who's hardcore nerd out here. I was like, bro, there's not a bigger nerd than somebody who's doing fantasy football. Never. You know the stats, their health pool, their injury reports, uh, their projected stats, how they mesh well with other people on the field. I was like, bro, you don't get more D&D than that.
now that I think about it, you do have a very good point here. If you want to transcribe this way of thinking into the sports games as well, there's not much difference between an RPG and, say, FIFA, because you're both rolling dice hoping to get the outcome you want. But, in this case, EA is spending hundreds of dollars on player packs.
Oh, bro, you know me. I play a lot of 2K and FIFA. Not as much as I used to, but I do play a lot of 2K and FIFA. FIFA, I run that like a action RPG game. I literally only play it for the career, single player career mode. And I pick my character, I build them up how I want, and I go in there and I try to get as many goals and da 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 and stats and do all the different challenges and whatnot to make my character as strong as possible. But that's beside the point. So bringing it back, the more commercialized the game gets, the less of an RPG experience it is. And my worry for those who are tuning in, my worry for the upcoming Elder Scrolls game is that they're trying, not trying, because Elder Scrolls as a name is on more people's mind than it was with Oblivion, Morrowind, and so on and so forth. Now with Skyrim, Skyrim's a household name. I wonder how watered down of an RPG experience this Fallout's going to be, and I hope that they don't. I hope they actually go further back towards Oblivion than double all the way down on what was Skyrim. Even though on paper Skyrim was more successful, but as an RPG experience, it did lack. And I'm getting off my soapbox now. I feel like I talked about that for like 20 minutes.
I will just say though, one thing that although there is a very valid concern of that, something the other Bethesda franchise Fallout, the Fallout 4, a dumbing down of Fallout 3, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it introduced base building. I am praying to the nine divines that they introduce
Dude,
that to Elder Scrolls.
they have
Please,
to. They almost have to, bro.
please.
You like for them. I'm gonna be honest. This is what gets me because this goes back to the point. Like Bethesda is now in a situation where they have, for the most part, unlimited manpower, unlimited money. unlimited support. Like they have all the things to generate the perfect Bethesda game. That they could overhaul the engine if they wanted to, because they have, I believe this. Now I know throwing money at a game doesn't make it good, so let me get that out the way. But I'm just talking in terms of creating that perfect environment. They now have it, so they need to go ahead and pull the best parts of all the previous games. And then, funny
Hmm.
enough, you have Obsidian, so you have access to the people who made quote unquote what a lot of people feel is um, the best Fallout game ever is New Vegas. Um, you have access to all of these things under one umbrella. So when I think of the next Elder Scrolls, I need the base building. I need the community management part of it. Like I'm gonna be managing small communities. Do I need somebody constantly every 20 seconds telling me that somebody needs to be saved? No. But maybe I can set up a small team who literally just floats around the area defending bases.
This is
Give me a crew management type situation. Make some advancements upon the things that worked well and improve the combat. Like you clearly got guns right, which I don't think I'm gonna be wanting to see guns in Fallout. I mean, in Elder Scrolls, but just throwing it out there. If it does magically,
crossbows.
yeah, yeah, crossbows. I want to see proper crossbows. I want to see proper bow and arrow action. I want to see spells casting. I want to be able to create spells again. Like they need to bring that back. They really do. Be like, what was that? Was that Morrowind or Oblivion? I forgot. It's been so long. But the
I believe
spellcraft, yeah, I need hardcore spellcrafting. I need base management. I need the ability to create a crew to go around and handle small menial tasks I don't want to deal with. Like we're in the future now. It's 2021. This game's probably not going to come out until like 2024.
oh
Like
yeah, it's
if
still
it
ways out.
if it comes out before 2024, I'd be completely shocked. I hope I'm wrong. Like I hope I'm wrong. Maybe everything can get sped up because once again, you have the manpower, the money. Like you don't have to worry about going broke. This is the beauty about having a large having a bunch of capital behind you is your fear of mistakes usually goes lower. And when I say this, I mean they can put out a smaller game, like, but like right now, I'm talking like if Bethesda just wanted something, like, let's say they just wanted to test a new engine they were thinking about and just put out like a small game, in which they kind of did with that mobile game for Fallout Shelter. They kind of just put out that whole base management thing. Now, of course, that's me cheaply explaining it. I'm talking in circles here, but just try out different mechanics. Like do something new. Don't be so worried about making the absolute perfect perfect experience. I don't know, or test it out on a smaller game. Like you got the money now. You got the team now. You got the power behind you. Go ahead and try some stuff out. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hoping for too much.
Um, maybe, but I would just raise the counterpoint when you suddenly um are no longer having to worry about your finances and your resources. You tend to get a bit lazy. And then
Mm.
case in point, I it was gonna sneak in here somehow. Star Wars and Disney.
Ooh.
See, a lot of people have made the um have claimed that the last seasons of Clone Wars they went all out because they could, to make their mark because their show was getting canceled and they wanted to show the very best they could. And then, with post Disney, Star Wars has not really had the best track record
Mm.
um, in terms of creativity. Uh, the sequel trilogy is literally a retelling of the original.
Mm-hmm.
Um, two the two out of the actually no, I am right. Two out of the three TV shows that were created by Disney, two of them copy each other in terms of plot. So just like, you know what? I don't think money is the answer. I think it corrupts,
Mm.
and we can only hope,
I
Bethesda doesn't do that.
yeah, like I hope I'm
Or
wrong. I hope that's not the case, because like I still think they got creative juice in the tank. Like I don't, some companies you often feel like, okay, bro, you probably should have chalked it up 2 games ago, or recycled your whole team, or went a different direction, came up with a new IP, started a new engine. That's one thing that does need to happen, which I know they're making a new one, or at least they're building off of the one they have. They need to overhaul that bad boy.
what they really
Like,
need to overhaul at Bethesda is the engine,
yeah, that's
and that's
exactly what I was saying.
something
Yeah,
that because if I'm not mistaken, I forget what they call the engine, but
is
this
it the
it's the
creation
same.
engine?
I think that may be it,
I
but
think it is the
it's
creation engine.
powered. I don't know if it was Morrowind first, but I know it was Oblivion for
I
sure.
think it was Morrowind, bro.
And they plan to use the exact same engine with not Fallout, Elder Scrolls 6. And that is scary
No, I
because
think they redid it. They called it.
did
Let me
they?
see. Yeah, let me make
Because I
sure.
do remember reading that that was the initial plan.
Oh Lord. Okay, so the creation engine. It was Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76. Now the creation engine 2 is going to be used for Starfield. Let me
Okay.
see. Let's see what the creation engine 2 is looking like.
But how much is that a new engine and not just upgrades to the existing?
Yeah, because they're calling it they're claim a website, tweaktown.com, is claiming that it's the largest engine overhaul. Um, Let me see.
Whilst you're doing that, I'll just kind of elaborate on my fears.
Okay.
The, if it's 2.0, and if it's an overhaul rather than a from the ground up, that's scary because if you've ever played Fallout 4, the audience, I know me and Baron have, you can see that that engine is struggling.
Oh yeah.
Like the vertebrates, they're
Oh, the
supposed
popping
to
was
be,
bad.
oh yeah, popping. The vertebrates and their AIs, they're supposed to be OP air support that only the Brotherhood have, but they're basically non-entities because they do very little damage and they crash, you know, super easy. Um, and then you have just like the game crashing on it, like the load times to get from an indoor game space back to the overworld. That takes forever.
But I will say this: now that I have a Series X and I'm going back and I'm playing the optimized Fallout 4, the issues like vertebrate issues and whatnot, like the big moment that happened, spoiler alert, where you finally meet like the Brotherhood of Steel finally flies in.
This
There
game,
was a
it's not much spoilers.
right there. I still feel obligated, because funny enough, I had the game spoiled for me on a TikTok.
Oh no, not
It was
TikTok.
a TikTok totally spoiled like the story for me, and it was hilarious. All I can do is laugh because it's my fault. Like, I've been playing the game since launch, and I'm finally getting through the story, and I'm finally hitting that point. Like, I went through like the mind jump shit stuff. I went through like I'm finally heavily progressing into the story. Like, I've seen my kid as a kid, in the memories. Like, I'm making progress. And then I go on
Okay, man.
TikTok, and it was like a random TikTok that I knew I shouldn't have kept watching, but the person was like dressed up as a vault dweller, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I'm watching more than I'm listening, and then I hear them like say what happens. They were doing like a skit and like nonchalantly playing it off about what's happening, and I was like, holy crap, I just had it spoiled. It was kind of funny because all these years I have not had the story spoiled.
What got spoiled for you? What happens to Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I say,
Yep.
pepperoni.
With the institute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
The gosh
Uh,
dang instant.
the dang institute. But yeah. So of course the minor details and whatnot didn't, but the overall like, eh, like the meat and potatoes of what happened got spoiled. But going back to the point. Oh, the whole reason I even brought it up. The Series X does handle like a more powerful setup does do better when it comes to like loading and whatnot. But still, man, I need an extreme advancement, especially if they're gonna take this long to make the game. Am I gonna still expect bugs? It's sad that I'd say for me to say yes, I'm expecting nothing but a wild amount of crazy bugs. I'm expecting to be save scumming because of crashes and this and that. Now, I don't know if that's just like the battered RPG gamer in me, or if that's just because I'm prepped for a Bethesda game. I don't know, man. I hope this is polished. I hope it's very big. That's what that's what she said. I gotta throw that in there. I'll never grow up. But I hope it's a very large game. I really do. I want to like 5 years from its launch, people still finding new stuff. Like I know
Yeah,
they're finding that with Skyrim still.
what they find out now?
I want to say they found a secret mammoth somewhere, and I think they found like two new things uh, in the world.
Oh, interesting. But I would just say in your hopes of either being a battered gamer or not, I think that is due to companies taking advantage of their positions and putting out less than adequate quality games at launch, just going, up, oh, sorry, we'll fix it, and
Mm.
going from there instead of doing polished games on release like it used to be.
Yeah, man. Um, well, I know we're getting about that time. We kind of started late, but do you know what? Oh, we let's end it with this. What do you want to see from Starfield? And go ahead and go first.
I don't follow Starfield at all, so I don't have anything to input here. Okay. Um, I'll talk about ESO because I think we may have lost Baron for a minute here, but upcoming ESO content. Um, Something I would like to say is a DLC for the Imperials or the actual Empire, because it's not even a spoiler. It's like in the trailers. The the Empire has fallen. Like for the I think this may be the second time because I know there's either three or four iterations of the Empire. And so, you're one of the three factions vying for control. I want a DLC dedicated to like an Imperial holdout somewhere, like in I don't know, maybe somewhere in Hammerfell, because I'm trying to think of areas that aren't touched by the map yet.
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah, no worries. Um, but yeah, Empire DLC. I said that I had nothing to contribute because I don't follow Starfield, so I
Well,
covered ESO instead.
oh, that's fair. No, that's more than fair. Well, this is my get down. Whether or not it's not even because who knows? This may turn around and be a whole new lore that takes Bethesda to a whole new level, right? I'm
Hopefully.
when I look at this new game, this and it's funny because everything I was talking about can be summed up and happen in Starfield. Like this could be that new world that they do a lot of the text test stuff that I was looking for. Like try out the new things. Maybe there's going to be a base management on top of, just all the proper fixings. Basically, everything we discussed today will we'll get a true vision for what we can somewhat expect from the new Elder Scrolls game based on what happens in Starfield. Like I hope that made sense because I feel like I'm rambling. But did that make sense? Because help me out
It makes sense to me, but
here. Okay, then we'll run
it,
with that. As long as
yeah.
the person on the other end, understands what I'm trying to get across, I can live with it. Now, I'm really hoping they flex their muscles, go for it. Like don't lean into the stuff that works, but expand upon it. Give us more base building. Give us companions to lord over whatever we want them to lord over, and maybe we can set up trade routes. Maybe and then pay attention to what your modding community's been doing. Because funny enough, I think the modders are truly showing the developers like all the stuff they missed. Like this is what we want, and we have the ability to make it. So listen to us. So instead of waiting for us to put it into the game a year or two later, how about you just do it off the rip? Like you've seen that every game you came out with, the modding community has got behind it and created this, and that. And this is pretty consistent across the board. So hire those people and learn from them, or bring them on as consultants, whatever, and add them into your game from the jump. And then maybe you'll give the modders an opportunity to expand even further. Wow, that sounded
I
pretty
know
cool.
they have done it before, but to what extent I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, something since I feel like you've probably followed Starfield more than I have, and I've studied Zero, so that's almost more than
I'll
certain.
I'll say this. I'm excited because it's a new IP from a developer that I trust. And even at their worst, I know what I can expect to. I have a solid expectation of what I'm gonna get.
Now,
So
with
that
that in mind,
yes.
oh, sorry.
No, go
With
ahead.
that in mind, be real here. I
Mm-hmm.
want your true opinion, not your journalistic opinion.
Got you.
Is this going to be fun, or is this going to be generic space game?
Hmm. I if I wonder, will it be a more expansive Outer Worlds? If it's a more expansive Outer Worlds, even though I know Outer Worlds was Obsidian, um, but the thing that got me with Outer Worlds is it felt like an older game to me. Not necessarily a bad thing because a lot of people love that. Like I know a lot of people have large world fatigue, and that's fair, and that's very valid.
Mhm.
I think what we're gonna get from this is especially the I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm gonna go ahead and say purely. I mean, well, nah. Let's take a whack at it because clearly I don't know. Nobody really knows, and anybody who says
No,
they do that doesn't work directly for Bethesda, in my opinion, is lying.
they
Um.
wouldn't be able to tell you if they did.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'll say this. I think we're gonna get something special. I think they're gonna build upon what they did with Fallout 4 in terms of base management, and maybe it'll lean more like maybe you'll be a planetary management, and then you'll have like a base of operations on a planet. It won't be like you get to like No Man's Sky, like full planet size type business, but I think you'll have a hub area that you can build up and control, or maybe you'll have like some type of space fleet that you can manage. And I think they're gonna add more elements. I think we're gonna get more of everything that you could naturally make progression on in Fallout 4. So when it comes to base building, now you'll have like a full-fledged community management on top of the base building. Um, there were trade routes in Fallout 4, right? You got to set up like trade routes.
Yeah, but what they did though is just share the origin points workshop contents with the other settlement.
Okay. Once again, I think we're gonna build upon everything we've seen in Fallout 4. Like, I really believe that's what we're gonna get. So
One can help.
yeah, and in my opinion, that's a really good thing. As long as they don't forget that they're an RPG, action RPG. That's as long as they don't forget the RPG part, I think they'll do great. You know, if they reskin Fallout 4, it wouldn't do terrible. So we know we're not, or at least we hope we're not getting a reskin of Fallout 4, but in space. So at the bare minimum, if it's just a Fallout 4 clone, it wouldn't be crap.
Yeah,
I know that's
I
kind of sad to
will.
say, but it's being honest. Like
This is being
I think
this is honest.
baseline, we're not gonna be too. We're not gonna get nothing terrible.
Here's hoping. I mean, I don't really think it's deserved, but a lot of people rate Fallout 4 very poorly. But you know what? If we take that general consensus, you can't get much worse.
Yes,
So they have a lot of wiggle room, but let's not test them. 76 happened.
70s. Oh god, isn't that weird? How do you go from Fallout 4? Well, you know what? They did it in the same engine, so never mind.
Hmm.
Never.
I I do harp on it, but I not forgive per se, but I understand the debacle of how why it happened.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it was like a whole new studio that mainly did VR stuff, and they
yeah.
suddenly had to do an MMO. So, I mean,
Yeah.
take that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Look. Yeah. Well, folks, I've hit that limit. We're about at that time. You got any parting words for the good people, Johnny man?
Parting words. I think no matter what, the Clone Wars pre-Disney was the best Star Wars of all time.
Mm, okay. For me, final statement. Um, Bethesda. Hopefully, you truly flex your muscles and show us what you can do with Starfield. I really hope that you guys just go all out, push that engine to the limit. And, I really, I hope they can step away from the Bethesda name. You know what I mean? Like, I really, really do. I want to see this do well. And it, honestly, the, I just want them to progress. Right, Fame said it. Fame said it perfectly. I pray Starfield is fire. I'm gonna leave it at that. That'll be my final statement. I'm gonna steal that from Fame. Much love, everybody. Make sure to check out our full slate of shows. Make sure to like and subscribe. We have a show just about every day of the week. So tomorrow, Monday, we have 15 minutes of Fame. Tuesday we have ready play movies with Chakalaka until we get Cogs in the Machine back and rolling. Wednesday we have our flagship show Double XP. Thursday we have Take Two podcast with Fame and Floor Hugger, and then Friday we have Peep Game with me and Dallas Man, and then Saturday we have Ready Press Play with Dan and Chakalaka. And then Sunday, it's back to us. And we'll be here again next week. Maybe we should be. I don't think there's anything major going on. But until then, much love, everybody. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Take care now.